Hi guys, welcome back. Thanks for coming back to listen to me. Um, so today I think that I want to talk about um my friend that basically I talked about her in the other video where I said that she was basically things that was happening to her was happening to me. Um, so I think I want to talk about that. Um, well, not that, but I want to talk about her. Um, so basically, I didn't give her a name, I don't think. So I already chose that I'm gonna name her Alyssa. So basically, I met Alyssa at church when we were super young. We were like 10 and 11 probably, and we didn't live in the same city, but since we went to church together, um, my parents were like okay with her parents, and so I would stay the night at her house a lot, and she would come over my house a lot too, and we just became like really good friends. And she's always like called me like a sister, which I agree that I felt like she was like that to me as well. Like I felt the same way that she felt, but there were a lot of incidents with her that made me. She didn't have a lot of friends, and I'm not saying that people that don't have a lot of friends have anything wrong with them, but like sometimes people have a hard time, I guess, keeping friends. And she was one of the people that had a hard time keeping friends. And as time went on, I could kind of tell, like, what her issues were. Like, I could tell, like, why she probably didn't get along with a lot of people. So, I want to talk about this. I was going to, like, just have tell one big like story about her, but I feel like me breaking things up would help with like me trying to explain these stories and like talk about my experience. Um, so basically, I'm story about how basically she wanted me to move where she wanted me to move with her, but like she had like a ulterior motive. It seemed like I don't know. She wanted it to benefit her, I guess. And there's nothing wrong with people benefiting off of you if like you guys are helping each other, or they're like open and about it and they're not like trying to secretly use you. But I feel like um relationships that are mutually beneficial to each other, there's nothing like wrong with that, as long as you still know how to be a good friend at the end of the day. Um so I want to talk about when she wanted me to move to the state that she lived in, and basically how things like blew up and we stopped talking for a very long time. And um yeah, so I was trying to debate if I wanted to tell this story because this was a person that I really did care about. Until this day, I still care about the well being of this person, but I just think that we're probably really not supposed to be friends for real because so many things have happened within our friendship that I just feel like it's clear that we're not supposed to be friends. Like, it's okay for people to just be there for a season and them just, like if God says it's their time to, it's you guys' time to like end this relationship, then it's your time to end that relationship. And God will bring you new friends that, you know, are, they might last, you know, your entire lifetime. But yeah, anyways, well, we named the girl Alyssa. Okay, so Alyssa, she, just for like context at this time, she, me and her, since we grew up together and stuff, I was close with her parents. And she lived in basically the next state over. And so when I went to go visit her, she wanted me to help like watch her kids. She's for context, she has two kids, and she wanted me to help her watch her kids for that weekend. And then it was also her son's birthday that weekend. So like I could watch her kids, then go to like the son's party. So I said, okay, because at that time I had quit my job and I was like trying out other jobs. I went to a one job and I wasn't feeling it. It was like a factory job. So I think at the time I was at that job, which I was planning on leaving anyway. So I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? It's fine. I can come. I don't leave in this job anyway. So I just quit that job and I went to go help her with her kids. And while I was there, like, you know, me and her, we had fun. You know, we hung out like when she got off work and whatever the case is. And her parents, they were out of town. So like that's where she was. That's where she was most of the time. That's where the kids stayed most of the time. But she also had her own apartment. But she was really just at her parents most of the time. The one day we were talking, it was like before I left, and her parents, they did have a really nice house in a really nice neighborhood. They always had like a lot of money and stuff, so they always lived like, you know, in really, really nice houses and really nice neighborhoods. Like downstairs, it was like, you know, a lot of room for like, it like had a bar and like basically you didn't even have to go upstairs to um, leave and enter in the home. You could just do it from downstairs, and it also had like rooms and stuff down there. And so she had brought up um, me and her staying at her parents' house for like a year, and or just, you know, she didn't really put a date on it, but she was like, that would be fun. You know, a year is like usually a lease, you know, people usually sign for a year. So, which it probably would have been no longer than a year, to be honest. But basically, her brother and her brother's friend was staying there, but her brother ended up moving out, and the friend was still staying there at her parents' house. But the friend was eventually going to move too. So Alyssa is like, oh, I think maybe you should move down here. Like, I mean, I had a lease, but I didn't have a job, so I could. Well, by that time, I quit that new job, so I could move there if I wanted to and just, you know, pay my lease and just, you know, go back home whenever I wanted to or whatever. Probably not take a lot of stuff there. So she was like, oh, I think that, you know, it'll be fun if you move here and, you know, you could get a job here and they have really good paying jobs around and blah, blah, blah. And so I was thinking about it and I'm like, oh, well, you know, that sounds cool. And she was like, well, I already asked my parents and they said, yeah. And I was just like, what? Like, you didn't even like, what? Like, nobody told you to ask them that. Like, you know? So, but then they was like, oh, she was like, oh, we could probably just pay them for, you know, like money for like groceries or something, which I would have anyways gave them money if I would have been staying there. Like I would have gave them something, but they was like, oh yeah, you don't really have to pay rent. Then the dad was then Alyssa's dad was like, oh, well, we don't make your brother and his friend pay any rent. So I don't think we should have y'all pay anything at all, to be honest. And so I'm like, wow, her dad was always like super nice, super sweet. So basically, I was trying to decide, like, by this time where I'm like trying to base my decision, I was back home, and I was like, what am I gonna do? So I decided, okay, you know what? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I can have a change in environment. I wanted to move anyways. I never lived in this state before, so yeah, that'll be fun. I trust these people because I grew up with her and I used to be at her house all the time. Um, Even though I'm grown, I feel like my parents obviously still care about me, so they would feel safe with me at my friend's house or whatever. I could help her babysit or whatever, whenever she needs it if I'm not working myself. But honestly, I planned on getting like two jobs down there because I was trying to run it up, especially after I had quit my other job. So I got a backlash from that job. And that friend also knew that I quit the other job and stuff. So, also, I'll get there. So, I agreed to move there. And so, I started looking for jobs and stuff. I updated my resume, and things started to, mind you, I'm like packing up too. And things started to like be a little like she got a little excited, which I was excited too, but she started like changing stuff around. So she was like, "Oh, maybe I could still get like a one bedroom, and that way we could have like company over there. We could have like parties and stuff over there, and blah blah blah." Mind you, because she can afford to still have a place if she wants to. And so I was like, oh, if you want to, mind you, I was already paying the remaining rent for the months at my apartment. So I wasn't planning on paying anything extra other than giving her parents a little something, but not like actual paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars in rent. So whatever she wanted to do, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's up to you. Also, she not only she made really good money, but she I don't want to tell like her business, but she got money from other places too. Like she had things happen to where she got a lot of money. So she could afford like luxury apartments and stuff like that she wanted to. So on top of already paying the rent that she already had, she just didn't stay there. She would spent majority of the time at her parents' house, and that's where her kids rode the bus and stuff to school. So yeah, so that's why she just felt like going over there was the easiest thing since she was already over there all the time. But yeah, she brought up the idea about getting another apartment. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, then she was like, well, maybe I could just get a two-bedroom. And then, and then she brought the idea up to her mom. And her mom was like, if you get this, y'all don't need to stay here. Y'all can just stay in an apartment in y'all own apartment, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that exactly. And also, well, like, do you really want to pay the rent for that? Like, said she can afford it, but she was like, oh yeah, um, whatever, yeah, she can do it. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know, it's really on you. I mean, I'll still move down there if you want me to, but as long as like, this is the reason I'm coming here is to stack up because your parents said this. Like, your parents said, oh, y'all can stay for free, whatever the case is. This is the whole reason that I'm going here. I'm not going here to just spend more money because I already have rent where I'm living. So yeah, I'll spend a little bit extra, but I'm not trying to get like a full on apartment lease and all this other stuff and then be responsible for that and for my apartment at, where I live currently. And so um she ended up saying, "Oh, well, I kind of want us to have a luxury apartment." Like, so that's what she wanted to get. And like, she just kept changing stuff. And so the most recent thing, the most up to date thing she said was she wants to get a luxury apartment, 2 bedrooms. Her kids is just going to stay at her parents' house and they can just come over, to visit or whatever. And she was just going to get 2 bedroom. And she said that God told her to, um, she said that God told her that he wanted me to live with her rent free for a month. I mean, for a year. And I'm like, okay, like, are you sure? Mind you, that's what we was gonna do at her parents' house anyways. But I'm like, are you sure? Like, you want that? Like, and she said, yeah. Then she started saying that she started asking people about if she should do that. She was like, oh, I asked my one friend, I asked my grandma, I asked all these people, and they said, and I'm like, well, hold on now, because you didn't have to ask all them people if God wanted you to do something. You don't have to ask anybody else for their opinion, especially not a whole bunch of people, because now that makes me look like I just am homeless and have nowhere to live and no money, or like it looks horrible. Like, now I feel like they're looking at me like this bum when really that's not the case at all. And so she says that, and that kind of rubs me the wrong way, but I don't really want to like argue with her about that. So I just kind of let it go. I mean, she already said this stuff to the people, so I try to just let it go. And I'm like, okay, like, well, if that's what you want to do, but I don't want to be on a lease. And I kept telling her this, that I didn't want to be on a lease. So whatever, but that's another reason why she said something about her parents' house, us staying at her parents' house, because she knew I didn't want to be on a lease. Like, I was already in a lease, and I just felt like I needed time to save up money and stuff more before I went into another lease. Y'all, my eyebrow, I don't know. But yeah, y'all. And so I'm like, okay, she knows that I'm not paying anything for the most part, of course. I might chip in, but for like food or whatever. But for the most part, she knows that I'm not paying anything. She can afford all this stuff on her own. Like, like she said, like she told that to me and her mom. Like, she can realistically afford whatever she wanted to afford. So I'm like, okay, this is my best friend, by the way, one of my best friends. So after that, time passes and I'm getting emails from jobs, and she is also going to tour like apartments and stuff. So, she sees this one and she's like, "Oh, I feel like I want to stay here because it's like the nicest one that I've seen so far." So I forget how much the apartment was. I feel like it was like 1,700 or something like that for a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. It might have been more than that, but that's where I think that around that price is the one that she picked. And so I said, okay, well, that's fine. Like, if you can pay for that, that's fine. So that's what she picked. And when she went to go, I think, tour it again or do something at the apartment, she asked, were they hiring? And they said yes. And they said if you work there, you get a discount, and they made like $16 an hour. Mind you, the job I quit made like $25 an hour. So that's what I was used to working with. And even if it wasn't the same pay, like I was okay with like taking a pay cut, to make me happy so I could figure out some things. But initially I want to make more than what I was making at my other job. Like I'm trying to, do better. And so she was like, my friend called me, she told me about it, and she was like, "Oh, do you want to work there? I think, you should try to work there, blah, blah, blah." Really trying to pin this job on me. And at first, like, it caught me off guard, and we were on the phone. So I was like, sure, I'll apply. And she was like, "Well, if you don't mind, can I work on your resume tonight? Can I see your resume and work on it? And I'll apply for you tonight and this and that." And I'm like, at first, I said, okay, you guys. At first, I said, okay. But then I was thinking to myself, Tiara, they only make $16 an hour, and you're trying to make money. Like, you want to make more than that. Like, if anything, I would get a main job that paid well and then did like the $16 an hour shift as a side job, like a part time job, maybe. But I wouldn't want to do that just like full time and then try to have to find another job to accommodate that job and all this stuff with the hours. Like, I didn't want to do that. Also, side note, I had told her that I want to meet new people and stuff like that, and she told me, she brought that up, and she was like, "Oh, you can meet new people at this job, blah blah blah. You see new people every day." Not really. I mean, new to me, but once I see who lives there, I'm gonna know who these people are every day. Like once I see that, like once I start to get to know people. So that's not really what I mean by meet new people, but okay. So I tried to, I end up telling her, like, you know what? I don't think that I want to work at this job. Like, I'm trying to make at least $20 an hour. Like, and 16 is just not enough for me right now. Like, I have things that I need to pay and all this other stuff. Like, I'm trying to come out here and make money. I'm not trying to come out here and get like a mediocre paying job. Like, I mean, some people probably don't even make 16, but I just know what's possible, and I'm gonna go for the best or the better than, you know, than just the bare minimum, it seems like. So she just gets like really upset. Also, before I told her this, she was like, "Oh, maybe you could pay like $100 a month or something like that." So it went from me paying nothing a month or just, giving a little money here and there for food, which I would buy my own food anyway, but like it went from not paying nothing a month to paying, "Oh, can you pay extra $100 or $200 if you don't have the money for the apartment, or if you want to spend the money you do have for that apartment on something else, then you shouldn't go there if you can't afford it," which you can afford it, but if you can't afford it, then don't look at that apartment. Don't go based off of someone else working there and you benefiting from that, so they can so you can live there at a discounted price. Like, nobody said I wanted to work here. So like, I don't know, like, even if I am staying with you, honestly, I would rather give her money than work somewhere that I don't want to work and be miserable. And then you ask me to pay extra $100 or $200, so I probably still would be paying and working there, not making that much money, just so you can live at this apartment at a discounted price. when you already know my situation. Um, yeah, when I told her that I didn't want to work there, she just got so upset over the phone. She just started saying all this crazy stuff, saying how I'm too sensitive and she feels like she can't tell me anything. Mind you, this has been my friend for years. And like things that I opened up to her about, like telling her that when I quit my job, the one where I was making like 25, when I quit that job, everybody like had so much negative things to say about me. And I opened up to her about that. I opened up to her saying that family members were saying negative things about me, friends, whoever, like when God told me to quit that job. And let me tell you, it's a good thing He did, because I got very blessed and I wouldn't have never got, well, I would just save that for a different story time. But like, just when God tells you to do something, listen to it, just listen to Him. Even if it doesn't make any sense, like, you have to have faith. And that's what I was doing. I was having faith, like, because God was telling me to do something. I chose to do it, and I got all this backlash from it. Like, I have never quit a job without not having another job lined up, and that time I did. And I got so much backlash from it. That's all people had to say was negative things about me quitting my job. There's so many other things. There's so many things that I could have said about the people who said things about me, but that's not like God to do that. And I'm trying to follow in His footsteps and, do that as best as possible. And I'm just not that kind of person to just throw things up in people's faces. Like, life happens differently for everyone. Like, you don't know why somebody did what they did. Like, quitting a job is not the end of the world. I turned around and got another job that I loved and was the easiest job I ever had. Like, but anyways, yeah. Um, she starts throwing things like that up in my face, like, oh, you quit your job without having another one. I would never quit my job without having another one, especially if I have rent and a car payment and this and that. Like, I told her about all these things because this was my supposed best friend. But now, when you're mad about something that has nothing to do with me having a job or not having a job, you're throwing all this stuff up in my face because you're mad that I don't want to work at this job that you you want me to work at so you can get a discounted rent. Like, just don't move there. And she just says so much crazy things. She just starts saying all this stuff, like how she really feels about me, I guess. Like, I don't know. And then there was this one time where um it was around the time I quit my job, but I had got a certain amount of money and I wanted to take a trip for my birthday. And also, since I quit my job, I wasn't working around that time. I wasn't working at that job. And I told my friends, hey, do you guys want to go on a trip? If y'all can't afford it or whatever, it's too last minute, that's fine. And if not, I can just do something else for my birthday because I wanted to spend my birthday with my friends. And she brought up that, and she brought up how I wanted to go on this trip after I had already quit my job without having another one. And she basically said that was a stupid thing to do and blah, blah, blah. But what she didn't know is that I could afford to do it because I had got the money from um, I had got the money from somewhere. So I basically got blessed with the money to do these things and pay my bills. So I'm like, you don't know what people are really, you don't know if somebody can afford to do this or if they can afford to do this. Like, mind you, Like, I don't know. She act like I was just out here asking people for money and stuff when I wasn't. I was doing DoorDash and Uber every day to make sure my bills was paid and all that extra stuff. Like, while looking for a job, while still working, like doing Uber and stuff, while still picking up like jobs from like the apps where you can pick up random jobs. So I would like work at the stadium and stuff like that, and just random jobs that was in my city until I found another one. Like, I was not sitting on my butt not doing anything. I was still making money and paying my bills. So like, for her to just say something like that, like nobody has ever quit a job before, and I'm like, wow, I came to you being like vulnerable with you about things, and you come and you turn around and you say these things to me. Like, I thought that you were, I tell you about how like family members and stuff have been like super mean to me because I quit my job. The only thing, like, the whole time you're sitting here like, wow, yeah, she shouldn't have said that. She shouldn't have been so mean to you, or she shouldn't have said, been so rude, or whatever the case is. You're going to turn around and bring that back up and be like, well, I don't blame them. They have a point. Why did you do this and why did you do that? When really, I could question the amount of things that she has done, and not just her, other people that have tried to judge me for quitting a job that was no longer serving me. Like, I could say so many things, but I'm not the kind of person to do stuff like that, because I know at the end of the day, God got my back and He's going to get those people. I don't have to get people, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I just know that I could say some the things that she was saying, this is coming from a person that like just has did terrible things to other people. Like, so I'm just like, I don't know. But oh, hold on one second, y'all. Let me just close this video out right here. Basically, we fell out. Um, we fell out from that, and we hadn't talked. We didn't talk for like months. So after that, yeah, I'll tell a story about after we did talk. Like, after that big old fight, um, I didn't move there. I basically started applying for jobs in the city I was living in, because I had to switch my resume and stuff back around, because my resume said a new address, a new state, a new city, and all that. And it was catered to different jobs in that city and state. So then, yeah, I had to unpack all my stuff. Thankfully, I didn't bring anything there yet, so at least I didn't have like a whole bunch to do, but I did have to unpack, which was kind of annoying, but it's okay. I'm just glad that I didn't go. Like, I had a cousin, well, I have a cousin, and she was telling me, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. She always keeps it 100. And she also knows this girl. We all went to the same church. So she's like, that's not a good idea. I'm telling you, it's not a good idea. This girl is trouble, and, all this other stuff. And like, I told her the story, and she said, see, I told you. She was mad too. She wanted to fight her, like, this, like, because some of the stuff she was saying was just outrageous. But that's my cousin. I love her. But yeah, y'all. But I do have to go. So thank you guys for listening. Being patient with me, because I'm new to this storytelling stuff, and just coming on here talking to you guys. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. Have a great Merry Christmas and a good weekend.